Hello to my people out there that are faithful viewers of this internet program. I thought I'd check in. I haven't created one of these in a while because since the last time that I spoke to you all, shit hit the fan in this country. With the coronavirus, I think I briefly mentioned it, like in passing, the coronavirus that is, in the last video I did, and it was some political analysis that I had been talking about. And now, what do you know? It's like the lead story everywhere. It's the lead story of our lives because American life has basically come to a standstill with this virus. So, look, the reason I haven't been posting, there was like a debate, there was an election. It was just like, what could I say that would even be of any value, in the wake of all of this? For me, and it wasn't just, the main story in the news, it was the main story in my life. I started worrying so much about work, about my family. And so, for me, I just had to get into mode to focus and make sure things are taken care of, especially for my parents and stuff. They are at that age where they say that the corona could be more harmful. So it's like you go into panic for the ones that you love. And I have so many family members who are in the health industry. So that too. But yeah, for that reason, I watched the debate between Biden and Bernie Sanders. I followed through on the election, but I just didn't have the heart to comment or say or do anything about it. I don't even want to say things are calming down now. They're not, but I think now that this is becoming the new normal, I at least feel like I got the space to talk about the implications. And it's tough to do this because I've been telling people, like, follow the news, set some time for yourself to follow the news, check in the morning, listen to whichever local officials you want to, whatever press conference, to stay informed of what's going on. Maybe check again, not so late in the evening, but check in the evening. And then that's it. Like, why keep it on Fox or MSNBC or CNN where they have this round the clock coverage, and all the round the clock coverage is just extrapolation of the facts, and it doesn't do anything to assist you, and you just end up going crazy. So, I hope at least that with whatever it is I'm going to say, I'm not part of that. I don't want to stir people into a panic. I think that we should be focused. I think we should be grounded, and we should be doing whatever we can to be grounded, grounded in whatever we believe American values are, and taking care of our neighbors, and being innovative, thinking of new ideas at this time while we are all at home, and being thankful for those of us that have to stay working during this time, being thankful to grocery store workers, to delivery workers, to anyone in the healthcare industry, not just, doctors and nurses on the front lines, physicians, assistants as well. But also, like, you got to think, people in the staff area that have to go in and make sure that accounts are paid, that schedules are being done. Maybe not even people in the hospitals that are treating, corona victims, but, people in doctors' offices and medical groups all over the country who are just seeing regular patients. Because guess what? If those parts of the healthcare system fail, guess where those patients go? They end up going to the hospitals, and then the hospitals are bombarded with them. And so everyone needs to work together to make sure that the hospital system is strong enough and that we can expand it fast enough in order to deal with this inundation that we are on the cusp of seeing. I don't want to get too much into that because we all know what the dangers are that lie ahead. But yeah, it's important to stay grounded and to stay spiritually grounded. Read a book. If you practice religion, now is the time to read your holy books, to pray, not just for, not like some mythical prayer, but pray for the strength in yourself to stay focused, to get through this, to be there for your family. So that's what I tell people. I forget where I was going with that, as I always do when I ramble, but there were a few takeaways that I wanted to talk about politically, and hopefully, like I said, this doesn't work people up too much, but there are a few things that I think are super interesting going on in politics, and that I think we could kind of look to the future about and see the patterns that are happening and the things that are kind of being put in place to get us there. The first thing that I thought about was that we're going to see a complete erasing of this whole right-left dichotomy that we've been used to for the last 40, 50 years in American politics, whereas the right represents, free market capitalism that favors large corporations or the professional managerial class, the bosses, and where the left represents more of the working class values and stuff. I think we're going to see a complete erasing of that, and I think politics is going to shift into what it was kind of set up to go into anyways, but I think this is going to fast track it. It's going to be populism versus elitism. And both parties, the Republican Party and the Democratic Party, are going to try to position themselves as the populist party. To tell the American people that, hey, we are the party that is putting proposals, that we represent the people, putting proposals for the people, that we're the ones that are against corruption, we're against crony capitalism, we're against, corporate handouts, we're against what Bernie Sanders calls corporate socialism. And I think we're going to just see a fast tracking of that. And I think with this crisis in particular down the line, prior to the primary, it looked like Bernie Sanders was going to win it until the Democratic establishment, kind of congealed around Joe Biden. I was thinking at that time, I was like, all right, with Bernie Sanders being poised to win this thing, it looks like the 2020s, this decade, is going to be the decade of American populism. And then, Biden gets, Super Tuesday, then, he wins a lot of contests after that. And I'm like, it doesn't seem like it. It seems like the Democratic establishment, they squashed populism yet again. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think that Joe Biden and all the Democrats now, they're going to try to run on a populist message. How successful they're going to be with it, I don't know, because a lot of them are very corrupt, and they have been in the pockets of large businesses, large corporations in the past. Joe Biden is on record saying that he would have vetoed Medicare for all if it had come to his desk as president. Now look at it. You ask anyone about what they think about Medicare for all as a proposal. It's so popular now among the American public, right and left. So I think that overall, you're going to see both parties trying to position themselves as of the people, for the people, and everything. Donald Trump, he obviously, he put himself in that position in 2016. He's going to try to do that again. And I just don't know how successful he's going to be. I mean, I, I don't know. It seems too soon. I don't want to analyze too much of how Trump is handling this crisis. I don't think he's doing a good job personally. But in terms of the way that, politically it's playing out, he's definitely using the press room, the press briefings, as kind of like his rallying cry to his base a lot of times. But I just don't know how it's going to play out largely with the electorate. I think it's kind of too soon to say. He has been trying to describe himself as a wartime president, trying to, he's been in support of, certain measures that you wouldn't have heard him being in support of prior to this crisis, as in, cash bailout to the American people. But, unfortunately, the Republicans are also proposing cash bailouts to large corporations as well. So we have to see how the chips fall, like what actually passes in Congress, and what Donald Trump actually supports, because he's got to sign all the bills at the end of the day. The second thing that I thought about was that when shit hits the fan, like it did now, all of a sudden there's a health crisis. People's lives are at stake. People are actually dying because of this. And the threat of spread is so imminent that when shit hits the fan, everyone wants socialism. Everyone wants someone to be in control of a system to make sure it gets to everyone who needs it. And they don't want to have to pay for it out of pocket. I mean, they want the government to pay for it, but that's essentially us paying for it. That's taxes. But right now, the way that it's being dealt with, imagine if the legislators came to the table and said, all right, we're going to do testing, but everyone has to pay $5 for it. Like, not even $5 people would be willing to pay for those tests. That would cause riots. No, the government came correct. They said everyone gets tests and no one will have to pay for it. Rightfully so. We didn't know that this was going to be a threat to our lives right now. But I think in the larger sense, with this coronavirus equally threatening rich and poor, I don't want to say equally threatening different parts of it's way more threatening up here in the Northeast, in New York in particular, where the density is greater. And then, there are also I don't want to get into it too much, but there are also the theories that corona thrives in certain climates better, which is why, so many cases in Washington State, also so many cases in New York City, in March, April of New York City. So, but it's threatening people in New York City, but it doesn't matter if you're rich or poor. And so now, with people seeing that, with the elites of this country seeing that, it's like not even their money could save them from this disease. So I think that people are starting to see that, and they're starting to see the dangers of corporate healthcare, of capitalist healthcare, and those dangers are just gaping. Like, it's wide open. We all see it. It doesn't matter how much money you have. You can't buy your way out of this problem. So, yeah, I think that at this point, people are a little more willing to accept what you would call an otherwise socialist agenda in terms of healthcare. But honestly, if it gets as bad as I think it's going to get, I think that people are going to be even more willing. I think that they're going to be accepting of government, like a takeover of the health industry. I think they'd be willing to not even socialize it, to communize it, make it a communist kind of structure for a couple of years until we get control of this thing, until the capacity to take care of this illness is in place. And then, then I think the American people would then probably be like, oh no, let's start letting, corporate profits trickle into this, like they always do. Not the American people, but politicians that, make profits over that kind of shit. Yeah, and then the third thing that third takeaway from all this is stay hydrated, folks. Third thing is that really, in order to tackle this, people are out of work, and there is a large need to get some kind of normalcy back, to get control of this whole thing, and to do it as soon as possible so that the economic strife is minimized. Because people can die because of a bad economy as well. So we need to, and this kind of gets into the government control of the industry, but we need to immediately shift the economy to focus on this. And this is what everyone's talking about in terms of a wartime effort. With the president invoking, I forget what the name of the law is, but in order to demand that certain companies produce certain goods to help out in a wartime crisis, to demand that textile companies make the fabrics for healthcare workers for their masks, to demand that computer parts are made for the respirators, all that. The government can actually do that, but there needs to be a shift. Like, you can demand that industries start doing that right away, but with that as well, when you get more industries to participate in the effort to tackle corona, you need to move the labor force there as well. So what's happening in New York City, where we need to increase the capacity of hospitals, and not just hospitals, of healthcare workers. The number of doctors is kind of a limited thing, but in terms of people that can do the testing, we could hire people to do that. But nurses are also specialized in training. You can't just hire anyone to be a nurse, but other staff in these facilities, we need to hire people right away, and we need to hire people that have been laid off because of this crisis. So we need to shift, people who are working in the restaurant industry who are out of jobs right now. That's who the government needs to be going to first and saying, hey, I'm so sorry that, we shut down this part of the economy, but please join us. We have this concerted effort. Everyone needs to be part of this. The country needs to work together to get this under control. We're going to open up this part of the economy, the health industry, and welcome you there. So the government has to be ready to do that. And that's really what we need to do. We need to shift. There's a large part of our economy that has just kind of tanked within the matter of a week. So many people out of work. Look, we have workers. Now we need to create the infrastructure to get them to work and to really battle this crisis that we are in, to battle this disease. Look, the other thing too, we have to be realistic scientifically. It's not that we have to eradicate this disease. This is the course of human nature. This is the course of human evolution. This is an act of God. There's nothing we could do about this virus taking its toll on humanity. But we as humans, our collective minds can come together and figure out a way with modern technology, with modern medicine, to treat people that are afflicted by corona, by COVID-19. And unfortunately, some people are going to die. But what we can do, and this is what social distancing does, is we can at least work together in order to make sure that our hospital systems, our healthcare workers are not overwhelmed in the beginning stages, so that we can then buy the time to build that infrastructure and create a larger economy, not larger, but create an economy for the next 2-3 years, as long as we're fighting this disease, that will at least serve the purpose of making sure that we have a strong economy, but that also deals with the demand of treating people for this illness, this new illness. So that's essentially what we need to do with the economy. The labor resources have to go to the health industry, and in many, many different ways, not just workers. Look, we need to eventually get back to jobs. Like there's regular jobs out there. There's finance jobs, there's banking jobs, there's retail jobs, there's, the food industry, services industry, where people are out of work. Government can play a big part in this by making sure that we hire the right people in the healthcare industry. But corporations then can also do the responsible thing by saying, okay, well, we here at Bank of America, we want to keep our employees safe and healthy, so we mandate that our workers get tested twice a month, and we pay for the testing. So now Bank of America, corporate responsibility, huge ass company, they're paying into the health industry, the new sector, the new enlarged part of the economy. So, and there's so many creative ways that this could be done, but the idea is there needs to be a shift in every part of the economy to focus on fighting this disease. So anyways, that's all I got. I don't know how much I made sense while talking about this, but just wanted to check in with everyone. And look, I hope everyone is safe and healthy, and please, please, please look out for, call each other. Check on your parents, check on your grandparents, check on your siblings, check on people. It's not just, the elderly that are at risk, physically, but, we're all in social isolation. Check on people who you think might be lonely. Just call, say what's up. It's not a fun time to be alone, not interacting with people. We're human. Humans are not supposed to stay like this. We're supposed to connect. We're supposed to hug. We're supposed to touch. We're supposed to feel. It's so let's all stay connected with each other, check on each other, and of course, wash your hands and do all the things that you need to do to stay safe and healthy, in order to slow this the spread of this. At some point, most humans on this globe are going to get it. But how we get it, making sure that the hospital systems are not overwhelmed, so that when we get it, if we need the care that we need, if someone needs the care that they need, the hospital's not overwhelmed and those people can be taken care of. So that's all I got. I wish everyone well. Godspeed, and thank you for watching Johnny's Jabs.